I'm Foxxeel and welcome to this Quantum TRex build, which is the Amazon and VoidTech combination. So with the new patch that's just recently come out the last couple of weeks, I've been wanting to do a T-Rex centered build, and I've been looking at which secret tech would be the best, and I think that VoidTech is the best. One, I was the first VoidTech, the first secret tech I ever used, and I kind of found it to be a bit underwhelming, and I don't really see too many other people using VoidTech, and I think it's underutilized. So with that said, this video is going to have a few different sections. I'm going to put the timestamps in the description. So firstly, we're going to be covering the technologies, which tech to unlock to get to the quantum T-Rex build. And then I'm going to be discussing the units, what units you should be using, which upgrade you should be using for them, and a bit of an idea of how you should be playing them. Then finally, I'm going to touch on the T-Rex itself at the end, and I'm going to show you an example of what a T-Rex in the late game looks like. So without further ado, let's get into the technology. So with the tech, firstly, I'm not going to be covering any of the societal tech. Societal techs, it's dependent on what planet and how you prioritize, but to do an overview, I would say your research should be your first or second highest priority, purely because you just get to your military tech that you need to actually unlock the build a lot quicker. But how you do that is up to you. I'm going to be doing a few playthroughs later on, so I will be demonstrating how to use which society tech to be using. But let's just get into the military tech. Now, in terms of military tech, I'm going to be referring to each unit or military unit or tech by its name and its tier. So for example, Amazon 1 is Amazon tier 1. Amazon 5 is Amazon, 5. Sorry, let me learn how to count. So with the Amazon, you have the units at the top and the mods at the bottom, which is the same as everything. So with your secret tech, you have the units at the top, the mods at the bottom. I'm going to be just talking about the mods firstly, so let's get into the mods. So actually, no, before the mods, we're going to be discussing which technologies you need to upgrade to get to the Quantum T-Rex. So the Quantum T-Rex firstly is getting to Amazon 7, which is the Pteranodon, it's a little T-Rex here, and getting to Void 9, which is down there at the bottom, which is your Quantum Avatar. Now I'm going to be talking about the early game technologies first, and then we'll get into the late game eventually. Now what do you need? Obviously you need to get Amazon 7 and Void 9, but what other technologies do you need to upgrade to also have a functional army before you get to that late game point? So with the Amazon, you want your first line, your top line, which is your units, to Amazon 7. You want your second line to Amazon 2 because rapid forestation is really helpful, and your third line, so the mod line of your Amazon, unlock it to mod 5. Now Amazon mods 7 and 9 are very powerful. So Amazon 5, where are we? Sorry, Amazon 5 is here. So Amazon 7 and 9 is very powerful, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary in terms of getting to the Quantum T-Rex as fast as possible. So you can get Amazon 7 and 9 later on, but we'll just stick to Amazon 5. So you want Amazon 7 and Amazon 5. For Biochem, I would unlock just Biochem 1. You can unlock Biochem 2 if you want, if you're dealing with a lot of mech units, but generally you don't really need to. Biochem 1 is sufficient. Laser, don't touch the laser line at all until after you have the Quantum T-Rex up and running. VoidTech, you need Void to tier 9 obviously at the bottom, and you need your Void units to just tier 1. You don't have to, Void 3 to unlock the Echo Walker. Don't have to use the Echo Walker. I strongly prefer the Echo Walker over the base Amazon unit, which is the Lancer, and we're going to get into that now. So now that we've got the tech out of the way, now that we've got the tech out of the way, we're going to break down the Void mods in terms of which ones you actually should be using and which ones go with what unit. So just as a blanket, overall, I wouldn't use any Amazon 1 or 3. So the only mods you should be using is Amazon 5, which is your defensive mod, which gives you health, base health, and it gives you healing per turn if you're still alive in combat. Biochem 1, which is your offensive mod, so melts armor, which lets you do more damage and gives you bonus damage. Again, Bio 3 if you're versing mech, which is your tier 1 offensive mod. We're not going to do laser. You have Void 1, which is your defensive mod, which gives you evasion and lets you walk through obstacles and bonus shields. And you have Void 3, which is your offensive mod. Don't touch. I wouldn't use Amazon 1 because it gives stagger resistance. Not really necessary. Amazon 3, it's decent, but I wouldn't recommend using it. Void 5 is, you could use for your heroes, but I wouldn't really use it. You don't really need grenades, but that's, up to you. So now that we've touched over the mods, it pretty much falls down to offensive and defensive. So your defensive mods are Amazon 5, which is a tier 2 mod, which means it costs 10 cosmite, and Void 1, which is a tier 1 mod, so it's 5 cosmite, so it's relatively cheaper. Your offensive mods are Bio 1, Bio 3, and Void 3. So how you use the units, I'll generally use, if it's a defensive unit, a support unit, I'll use 3 defensive mods. If it's an offensive unit that's not going to get hit, I'll use 2 offensive mods. If it's a unit that I kind of want to keep alive, I'll use 2 defensive and 1 offensive. Now let's get straight into the units. So in terms of the mods, just for the sake of making it a bit easier, because I did quite a lot of talking and I talk quite quickly, these are the mods. So they're your defensive mods, Amazon 1, 3, 5, and then your offensive mods, Bio 1, Void 3. I had Bio 3 here as optional. Now, you shouldn't be using Amazon. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. So your late game is your Void 7 and Void 9. So let's go straight down to Void 7. Void 7 is your late game offensive mod. So it's 15 cosmite, and it gives you the chance to remove an action point and 30% bonus damage. And your Void 9 is your most important mod, which is your defensive mod. So this I can't. Once you see this in action, you'll kind of see how useful it is. Just to brush over it really quickly, the big difference between this mod and every other majority of other mods is that there's no percentage chance. So normally there's a strength chance to a mod to have an effect. This mod, it works no matter what. As soon as you hit this unit, they're going to take the effects. So the effects is they're going to be teleported one position away, they're going to receive dimensional instability, and they're going to become staggered. Now, because there's no percentage chance, this is a very, very powerful defensive ability. The other thing that it does is that it has an AoE effect. So this first paragraph is what happens when you hit the unit. The second paragraph is an AoE effect. So this affects every unit around it. Sorry. So this AoE affects the unit itself and every other unit within 1 hex radius. And the third paragraph is what the unit gets by itself. So you're going to get, just having this upgrade, you're going to have 5 shield. You're going to have stagger resistance, and you're going to have a guaranteed chance to stagger and cause dimensional instability. Now, the other thing that this unit becomes very powerful is that the second paragraph is that if you have a Void modded unit next to it, then that VoidTech also gains 3 shield and stagger resistance. Now, what's unique with this mod is that if you have 2 units with this mod next to each other, this second paragraph actually stacks. It only stacks once, and it's called I forgot what it's called. It has an effect. So essentially, once 2 people with quantum stand next to each other, they get bonus 6 shield and stagger immunity, just for having this item, just for standing next to each other. Now the other thing I need to get into is dimensional instability. Let's learn how to spell. So dimensional instability is a debuff CC or crowd control mod. So firstly, it removes resistance. If you know what resistance that is, please let me know. I'm assuming it's damage, but I'm not really too sure. It also removes 1 level of stagger resistance, which makes people even more prone to become staggered. It loses its grip with reality. It reduces the damage of the attacker by 20%. And the fourth one, which seems a bit strange, which I was a bit confused at first, is it teleports at the start of the unit's turn. It randomly teleports them 2 hexes from their original position. Now, with this, it's either going to teleport the enemy units to 2 hexes closer to you or 2 hexes further away. In general, if you have a melee unit, it's better that they're closer. But if they're further away, that goes against their favor because they have to use 1 action point just to get to their original position. So it's essentially like a utility percentage chance to force them to use 1 action point just to move. Or if they're not in cover, then they get moved out of cover. Anyways, it's a lot more obvious of how useful it is once you see it in action, because I didn't really understand why this would be a tier 9 mod until I actually saw it being used. Now we get into units. So your Huntress, because your Huntress is your core infantry unit, I'm just going to show this unit's Huntress. I would recommend Void 1, Amazon 5, and Bio 1. So you have your Void 1, which is your defensive mod, gives you evasion, Amazon 5, which is your defensive mod for health and bonus healing, and then Bio 1, which is your offensive mod. Offensive mod to remove their armor. Now, another thing I would also want to touch on is that Amazons at level 5 gain evasive, which is 15% evasion. So when you couple 15% evasion with the Void 1 mod, you get another 15% evasion, 30% evasion. It's a 1 in 3 chance just for having that mod and having them at level 5. That's not even standing in cover. Very strong defensively. That said, with all these units, I'm going to suggest 3 mods. You don't have to use all 3, but that's the 3 optimal ones that I would use. They're all relatively cheap. It's either tier 1 or tier 2. All of it's tier 1 except for Amazon 5, which is your healing one. So that's your Huntress out of the way. The next unit is your Biomancer. So your Biomancer is a support unit. The Biomancer, it lets you sleep enemy units. It gives a heal once per battle, scan, which reduces their damage resistance, and can heal. So essentially the Biomancer, I don't really want to be getting into combat. It only has 5 range. To the Huntress, as a normal infantry unit, has 5 range. Excuse me, yeah. This has 5 range as well. So I kind of want to be a bit more defensive. So with the Biomancer, I will just go with Amazon 1, Void 1, and Amazon 5. You could add Bio 1 if you want to add a bit more damage, but generally I just want it to be there to be utility and to be in the back line. Next upgrade, the next unit, is your Echo Walker. So Echo Walker is what you unlock after you get to your unit, your Void 3. The Amazons already have a base unit, which is the Amazon Lancer. Now, the reason why I prefer the Echo Walker over the Amazon Lancer is, for one, we're not going to touch the laser tree, so it's not as many benefits, but primarily the reason is that the Echo Walker has an ability called Quantum Echo. So this is available to anyone who uses VoidTech. They get a unique unit like this, and Quantum Echo lets you make a clone of your own unit that lasts for 2 turns. So the good thing about this unit is that this ability, is that the clone can take damage, and also the clone's damage that it deals the same effects as your original unit. So this unit by itself, it already has dimensional instability, and if you give it something like Biochem, you can actually stack up these effects of your abilities twice as fast. And also having another unit there gives another bullet sponge, because the AI will still attack the clone for whatever reason. Now, the final thing is that the Echo Walker, when it's defensive, it has evasion, which is 50% evasion, whereas the Lancer has 25% evasion and +2 shield. Now, because it already has base 50% evasion, when it's just because of the unit how it is, when you give it the extra 15% from Phase Walker, you're at 65% evasion. And that's just like, you're already like 50-50, it's a less than 50-50 chance to hit. So we'll take that every day. What else? So the the Echo Walker. So Void 1, Amazon 5, and Bio 1. So pretty much the same build as a Huntress, for pretty much the same reason. Keep it alive by evading, Amazon 5 to keep its health up, and Bio 1 to deal some damage. The final unit is the Bombardon, which is all the way down here. Now, you could still use the Harrier or the Arborean Sentinel, but I generally didn't use these units whatsoever. I kind of stuck to the Huntress, the Biomancer, and the Echo Walker primarily. I pretty much just use Echo Walker and Huntress. Didn't really use the Biomancer too much, because once you have Amazon 5, you don't quite need to heal as often. But the Biomancer is what you need before you get to Pteranodon. And the reason why I would actually recommend using the Biomancer is that this ability down here, Bioshell Bombardment, it applies the effects of your whatever offensive abilities you have. And so what I would recommend for the Biomancer is just using only offensive mods, because at that max range, you shouldn't be getting anywhere near the point where the Biomancer might die. So that's Void 3 and Bio 1. So that's Dimensional Instability and Melt Armor. And you can apply those with an AoE effect from safe range, which is what this does. So again, it's more of a utility damage. It can do normal damage with the Biocannon, but again, you're trying to sit back and deal that damage over time. Now, with those units out of the way, we're going to get to the main event, which is the Pteranodon. Your Pteranodon up here, ignore the health and these buffs, because this is based on some of the doctrines I have, so it wouldn't actually be at 75. Now the Pteranodon pretty much is going to be, ideally you want to give it Void 9 and Void 7. Now Void 9 is the most important part of the Pteranodon, because that's when you start to utilize its tanky power, and I would probably, as a third unit, I would give it Amazon 5. Purely because it's going to be in the front line. Instead of showing an example on this playthrough, which I have just overpowered armies that kind of look like this, that you have like level 13, max level, and all these like hyper powerful upgrades, I am going to save the example for the next video. I'm going to do a playthrough in which I use the build that I've just explained in the way that I've just explained it, and kind of show you firsthand just how powerful the Quantum T-Rex can be. It's also really fun, even if you don't get to the Pteranodon phase. I really enjoy playing the Amazon and just having like a literal army of forests everywhere. But with that said, let me know if you actually use VoidTech. I don't think I've seen really many people use VoidTech, and Amazon I'm really enjoying. I've only generally played Vanguard. I'm going to try Amazon. The next in my plan will be probably Kiriko or Assembly. I'm not really too sure yet, but thanks for joining, and I'll catch you in the next video. Oh, hit the mic.